So, Jarvis, 3 years ago, almost to the day, at this very point in the NFL season, Marcus Mariota's days as the starter under center QB1 for the Titans, done. Done and done. Now, he was given a second chance, however. ATL Day Ones is all about a second chance, obviously.
Yeah.
So is Coach
Fair.
Arthur.
Fair and balanced on this show.
We certainly are. So Smith gave the reins to Mariota this past training camp and on into the season, right? And finally, Jarvis, I believe Mariota has given these Falcons fans something to cheer about in that 28-14 win. You were talking about Marcus Mariota on the ground and in the air, being responsible for three of those Falcons scores. So, Jarvis, do you think that somehow number one has played himself into continuing in that QB space for at least another couple games and maybe push back the Desmond Ritter timeline at least, I don't know, for a week or more, maybe?
I want to say at least for a week because the one thing that I would at least for say at least 1 week because the one thing that I've always found funny and almost comical is the fact that on Mondays I will always see Desmond Ritter's name trending. And I was like, why is this dude's name trending every doggone Monday after a game? It's just like, dude, what is going on? But I did not see, and I just checked. Literally just checked, and it's not trending on this Monday, so that's cool. I think for at least a week, Marcus Mariota proved that hey, he's the guy for the Falcons at least in this particular moment because I think that Arthur Smith has established an identity for this team, and that is running the football running the football, and then we're gonna hit you with a play action to go up top every now and then. So hey, and I'm cool with that.
Run the football.
Right? Oh yeah. If it's nothing there, if my first read isn't there, I'm gonna take off and run with the football. But by the way, T, I'm gonna go ahead and pat myself on the back real quick because like you got some people that be trying to hate, trying to question what your acumen and all that stuff. Right. How about this? Marcus Mariota had 51 yards rushing? Did he not have a 17-yard run for a first down in a crucial moment in the game?
That's right.
Yes. I know what I'm talking about, people. When you think about how this game was going, the type of defense that they were playing, the elite level of defense that they faced on Sunday, there are certain things that is hard to defend. When you're talking about having to defend 11 people, I know it's 11 people on the field all the time, but hear me out here. There are 10 people that have that are involved in the play that help the quarterback out, right? But when you add the quarterback into that equation as far as being a weapon, something else that you have to defend on any given play, that makes it really hard, and that gives the Falcons an advantage against a team that is coached by probably a guy who's going to be a head coach and a guy who just has talent all up and down their roster. Now, granted, yes, they did have those injuries. However, you talking about that is an elite level defense that the Falcons were able to defeat on Sunday, and I think people should understand that and understand that nothing needs to be changed at this moment.
Right. And I also think, Travis, all you can do is play with the players on the field. And Marcus Mariota made a great point earlier in the week when he said, hey, I'm just going to take what the defense gives me. And finally, we saw it consistently because I felt like when I covered the game against the Browns a couple of weeks ago, that home game, I felt like we saw shades of it, pieces here and there, especially in the first half. It seemed like he went away from it in the second half and kind of fell back into some of his bad habits, if you will. But I felt like yesterday, he literally, for the entire game, was consistent. Like you said, there was a moment where when he took off, I just smiled because for me, it wasn't even about whether he would get 5, 10, or 17 yards. It was about the decision making, because if we're real about it, the thing that we've questioned even more so than his arm is his decision making. We've questioned, especially in high leverage situations. And yesterday, he definitely found that kind of second gear of thought process, right? That can tell him, hey, this is an opportunity for me to take off. Or even if I bootleg around to score a touchdown, it wasn't just that. It was the fact that you could see the determination. Like, okay, I read this real quick and this defense fell for this, so I'm going to go right on in. Those are the little things that you need to see, to your point, to be able to continue having the conversation about Mariota and not see Ritter trending. Same thing made me think of this. I was like, you know what? The other piece is whether it's Nick Bosa, Javon Kinlaw, or whoever else did not show up, My thing is, at the end of the day, the whole squad for me, for the Falcons, showed up and said, whatever you all give us, that's what we're going to take, and we're going to run with that, and we're going to do the most with it. That's what made me appreciate the entire effort across the team. But for me, even looking from an offensive perspective, I was like, oh, besides Marcus Mariota, since we've given him his flowers, I felt like, okay, well, then who else was doing the most with what they were given on offense? Like, okay, I see what you guys are giving me. Who else do you feel like said, I'm going to do the darn thing?
Olamide Zaccheaus, sir, step up. Like,
Yeah.
yes, like the way those guys have played this year, and like you said, I understand. Like in those, but in the back of their minds, is like, man, I need to get the rock more. But when they're called upon to make plays, those guys are absolutely doing their job. And I also have to give big kudos to Drake London as well, because you just saw something in him. Like Drake has something in him, and Drake. I know like people probably saying it, but you got to look at. That guy has something. It's something special about Drake London, and I think that I didn't see that when they drafted him in this year's draft and coming in, and then. But as I start to kind of be around him and kind of talk to him at practice, and then you start seeing the production on the field, I'm just like, okay, this guy is built differently, and I think that's some of the things that people have to pay attention to. Because and he's been maximizing every opportunity that he's been able to get, whether it be catching a back shoulder fade and snatching the ball with his hands over the DB. Like those are the type of things that he's been showing us, and I think not enough people are talking about it. And then with OZ doing what he's doing, hey, I ain't no first round draft pick, ain't no top 10 pick, but every time Marcus Mariota comes my way, I'm going to catch it, whether it be on that first driving, whether it was 29 yards completion over the middle. Yeah, those are some of the things that you ask your wide receivers to do, even though they're not asked to do much in the passing game. But when they are called upon, those guys are absolutely making the most out of it for sure.
They are. Yeah, that I will give you that. The receiving core was doing the most yesterday. And I'm going to give you two quick funnies, and then we'll talk about who was doing the most on defense, although I got a sneaky suspicion we're going to talk about the same person. But on offense, I will give a thumbs up to doing the most to the running back core, because if you think about it, still – and we take nothing away from Mariota's 51 yards, still 31 carries for 110 yards between Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier just reminds us that the Falcons running game is in good hands. And that's so, to me, that should be so encouraging and refreshing to Arthur Smith and Dave Ragone, because that means that you can let CP come back when CP's body is ready. You do not have to rush him back, no pun intended, because you've got more than what you need out of those guys really, really showing up and doing the most. But okay, I'm going to make it funny before we go to defense. KP with the Dirty Bird dance was doing the
yes. Yeah, that was dope because
I had to give him love.
So many times, like he just hit that joint, right? It was like the sped up version.
Exactly. He was like, I got to release this.
I'm going to get like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I absolutely loved it. And the thing about it is, the cool thing about it is for me, because a lot of times the opposing team comes into, and do it as a mocking, to mock the Dirty Bird. And that's when I just, I'm always rolling my eyes and like, dude, man, that jump happened a long time ago. Jam the Dirty Bird is sitting back, tweeting and chilling and retired, and you still up here trying to do that dance. But to have a guy honor him, and bring it to the forefront and get his first touchdown on the United States soil. Yes. I thought it was just absolutely dope. But yeah, I'm with you. That was a very, very cool moment.
It really, really was. And we would be remiss if we didn't talk about who was doing the most on defense, because if you look at the fact that the turnover margin was won by like 3, it was a 3-0 situation, that is so very impressive. And the fact that literally you could go anywhere. So I'm interested to see where you go for your doing the most, because the defense played that well yesterday.
It has to be Jaylinn Hawkins for me. Yeah, because when you think about when you think about how important it was, and Arthur Smith even talked about this in the post-game press conference. He was saying how if Hawkins is not going down there following his teammate, trying to find the block, and then all of a sudden, oh, my dude fumbled the ball into the end zone. Oh, let me go pick up this rock, because I was thinking like, oh snap, was it the touchback? But he ended up Hawkins ended up recovering it, because I didn't quite. I think the camera kind of switched kind of quickly, and I didn't see that he had actually recovered it. So those are the type of things that that are huge. And then when the Falcons defense was forcing Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the football over the top, throw the football downfield, you saw what happened. For him to pick that ball off like he did, I was like, this dude is – I love to see young cats doing what they do. Like A.J. Terrell, that was a huge play. Don't get me wrong. But I expect that for him. But a guy that's coming up through the system and has worked his way to being a starter, and you see the capability that he has, and it's starting to show on the field, that's the type of stuff that I like. I absolutely love what Jaylinn Hawkins did on yesterday, and he is absolutely doing his thing.
Yeah, I have a nickname for him. I'm going to hashtag it Ball Hawkins. Right. He's doing some special things. He is doing some special things.
Yes, he is.
Defense was definitely doing the most, but it did definitely start and stop with not just the secondary, but really Jaylinn Hawkins leading the way. So, love to see it. We're going to talk a little bit more tomorrow. We're going to break down that game further. And again, of course, start to do a look forward as well for the Panthers. But listen, if you want to look forward to what's going on, or you want to know exactly what key predictions are in and around the NFL, that's when you should listen to Locked On Sports, Locked On NFL specifically. So, of course, we all thank you guys for making us your first listen every single day. But we also want you to check out NFL Key Predictions every Friday on Locked On NFL. And, of course, you can get replays wherever you get your podcasts as well. But we've got experts everywhere. They'll give you the inside scoop. They'll kind of look at the 5 biggest games, which the Falcons are actually starting to creep up into those top 5s. And that can be the Sunday games, the Monday night games. And of course, Jarvis just told you guys about it earlier. BetOnline, that's where the game starts. And that's where the betting advice comes from, with the field's leading experts that you can check out on Locked On NFL. So again, follow the NFL Key Predictions every single Friday on Locked On NFL. You can get it on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast.